First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the June 14, 2018 meeting. So, anyone have any questions, corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Okay.
Was it second?
I have a motion and a second. Okay, is there any
You gave the second?
That's it, right?
Yeah. So is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. So chairperson's report. Parks are looking good.
Turn that state.
Pardon?
I wrote upstate.
Yes.
Okay,
Last one.
thank you. Parks are looking really good.
We're getting there. So a lot of the first stuff we're trying to knock out the best day by day. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll let the guys know.
All right. Comments from board?
We also have just one thing. I don't know how many of you get the CSDA newsletter forum, but I noticed Larry's been responding to a bunch of questions lately. I responded to a few questions. So it's quite interesting. Some of the questions get thrown out there just from other special districts on how would you do this or how would you transition into this. And so it's interesting. And one of you may have some kind of expertise that could help, another district out sometime. So if you have a chance, look at it.
There's even some districts whose legal folks respond to things. So you get, without having to pay for yourself, you get some legal opinions on things. But it's amazing how many things, if they're not exactly like what we're experiencing, it's close enough that, hey, you're interested in what they have to say. And I mentioned to Diane and Alan earlier that there's another district out there that was looking for somebody like does what SCI does for us. So I've already put them in touch with them. So that was, it does help out. And we got some responses on some things that we had asked questions about as well.
All right. Anyone else have any comments? Thank you, Alan. Administrator's report, is there anything you'd like to expand on there?
Just a couple things. I mentioned and we'll continue to bring this to the board on Proposition 68. Mark's actually got an ear to this as well because he's on a board, and District 2 board where this is getting brought up a lot. But you're going to start seeing the information on per capita allocations, which will come to us hopefully within the next 9 months. And that could be anywhere between $200,000 to $250,000. But then it's the grants. That's, we're interested in all of it, but we're certainly interested in the grants. Those grants are going to roll out over the next 5-6 years. They're going to do a few at a time.
Right.
Some things we won't be qualified for, probably like creek restoration projects or things like that, but there's maybe others that we definitely would want to be an applicant for, when those come up. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I also wanted to bring the board's attention about we have 2 significant leases that are expiring soon. And one I did make a mistake. I said something extra. Preschool childcare was expiring the 25th. It's actually September 1st. Their insurance expires on the 25th. But we're already working with them and also the Head Start program that uses the building on Streesick. Their lease doesn't expire for a while, but they are interested in getting it done right now, as soon as possible. They have a new administrator there, and they're trying to, which I appreciate, instead of waiting till the last minute, they're trying to get ahead of them. So we're working both on those, and when we have something to return to the board, we will do that. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Larry. Scott, is there anything you'd like to highlight in your report?
Unless there are any questions, no.
A question for you, Scott.
Yeah.
What happened to the swing at Streisick?
The expression swing that Zach is talking about, the frame got bent, probably from misuse. We've seen kids of older age one sitting on the bench and the other standing up on
Oh, okay.
the expression part, using it more as a, almost like a teeter-totter type thing than
Yeah.
than a swing.
Uh-huh.
So then we had to take the frame down. The frame is going to be replaced by warranty. Really right now, what we're looking at is, do we put one back up? Do we maybe just add a second tot bucket for the little kids? So it's disappointing that after just a few short months of the park being open, we did have some damage there. But
I've seen multiple times people standing on that, but I think part of the reason might be because it does kind of look like a step rather than,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like much of a seat.
we kind of
So-
considered even doing laminating like a visual or some instructions.
Yeah.
This is how you're supposed to use it, or use with care or something like that.
Yeah. Is there a way to just put a seat on it?
A soft seat?
Yeah.
I can look into that.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
then
know.
that would, provide a great visual.
Yeah.
It looks like a normal swing seat, because it even has some like texture on it, like a stair with it.
It does, yeah. Well,
Great swings.
Since Scott said that it's under warranty, we'll probably replace it as is.
Yeah.
And then if it happens again, in the meantime, Scott can do some investigating and see if there's another alternative to that.
Yeah.
But I would say, since they're gonna pay for it, let's take it under warranty, and if it happens again, then we'll have to reconsider. It's a shame, I'd hate to see that taken down, because I think its purpose is one that would benefit a lot of people, but if people misuse things all the time, and unfortunately, that's one that you'll find out real quickly when it gets broken.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
No, the only other thing I was gonna say, Scott, I read your thing about your reorder.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. I think it's a great idea.
It's, we rolled it out about a month ago, and the guys have bought into it.
Okay.
And, we've got some new equipment, thanks to
Right.
approval of the budget. And, we're still in that situation. We're playing a little bit of catch up from late spring into the summer months. I think once they kind of get over that hurdle, they're going to really start to move forward quickly. The idea is focus on a limited number of parts with two sets of eyes,
Right.
2 sets of hands, 2 sets of equipment, and really kind of create some ownership.
Oh, yeah.
And we're empowering them to,
Right.
you guys tell us what needs to get done.
Right.
Instead of supervisors just, arbitrarily or say handing out work
Right.
assignments. So it's off to a good start.
Good.
Yeah, we're
It does
cautiously optimistic.
It does a couple other things too that I think are real key, and that is, for instance, let's say as a 2-man team, one person's on vacation or calls in sick that day, then there'll be a default process, okay, instead of trying to do the work of 2 people, go in and you do the most, you narrow the scope of the most important things that have to get done, the rest can wait until the other person comes back. And the other thing too is that it's going to force the employees to learn how to do other tasks instead of the old way of where everybody had like a specialty.
Right.
Somebody who, I specialize in mowing, I specialize in irrigation. It's going to require everybody to learn how to do irrigation. And there'll be a little window of time where we'll have to, it'll be a learning process.
Learning curve, yeah.
But the whole idea is, like Scott said, is these are your parts. You got it from A to Z. And you'll have to be able to, if you don't know, we're going to teach you how to do certain things. So it's going to make everybody a little bit more competent in the sense that they have more skills. So I think it's a good idea. I'd sure love to have a few more people, but who doesn't?
All right, anyone else have any questions? Okay, Mark. Oh, I forgot to mention, your staff is doing an awesome job posting photos of the parks and the kids having a great time at summer camp.
Oh, thanks. So that's all, Sarah, for adult, at least for summer camp. We're trying to do a much more concerted effort about promoting the kids at the field trips and here at camp. But she's done a great job. We've actually had some really good kids this summer. But also, our new guidance supervisor, Derek, has been tremendous. He's been a real asset for us, so he's another good reason why kids are having such a good time. So.
All right. Anyone have any questions or comments for Mark? All right. Terry. Oh gosh, you did an awesome job taking care of the budget. The revenue was like, oh yeah, housing turnover. And
How much
And we save money.
We could have 16,000 in period 12, but a period 13 is not over yet.
Yeah, period 13 is still open.
We would be
Yeah.
probably close to over 50,000 in revenue had a certain individual not skipped out on us.
So,
Well, blame it up, we're only short 11,000 that area.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because the something extra has been, you can see, I think they're up to like 140% or something because they're getting more kids in the program.
And I understand that you should be receiving a check in the next few weeks, in the amount of $4,500 from Center Unified School District, Sierra Creek.
I did build it,
Yeah.
yes.
Alright.
Invoice the Sierra Creek.
Oh,
Where one of their schools kind of overlaps a little bit.
Alrighty, anyone have any questions for Terry on the fiscal report? Alright, correspondence, we don't have any this month. Comments and reports from citizens and organizations. We miss you, please come visit us. Okay, item 9, unfinished business, there don't have any. Item 10, new business A, National Night Out and Kids Night Out 2018. So, was Ken Brown supposed to be here?
Yeah,
Or have
she-
a representative
Well,
here?
she said she was, this was last week, she contacted us and said she was going to be here. And I reminded her what the meeting time was and the date, so I'm not sure why she's not here. But as you are aware that, I think is this the third year? Mark?
This is their third year. of that.
Yeah, and you've seen the letter that they presented to us and some other information. One thing you probably picked up on is that on June 8th, she released a press release, assuming she already had the part from the district. And I talked to her about, you really don't have anything till the board says you have it, so, just be careful. And if you need to back up and do your stuff earlier than that, then let's do it. But don't put out information because it'd be unfortunate if the board decided to go a different direction. But anyway, she asked for a little different this year. She asked for a list of things that she was looking for, and as you can see from my response, that I could recommend her having the use of the facility, but I didn't. These chairs we have are not made for outdoor use, and the other thing that it sounds like they've been already securing. So I told her that that's as far as I could go, and she was fine with that.
Okay, and this does include the use of the splash pad for that evening as well?
Correct. All I have to do is just reprogram it for additional 2 hours for that one night.
Okay.
And then it will go off at 8 o'clock. It's an easy fix. And
I'll make a motion to approve their request.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Item 10B, the Aerospace Museum requests to use Freedom Park and the Freedom Park softball field for fireworks display. So was there supposed to be a representative from?
We met, well, Scott and I met with them today. We went with Tom and Joe, who, Tom, he is a former board member, who was offered the job when Roxanne retired last February. Scott and I went out and met him on site, both of them at the facility today. I don't want to speak for Scott. I actually like it. They're both really nice guys, and just in the hour or so that we met, we realized there's a lot of stuff we should be doing together. And why he kind of indicated that maybe Roxanne, that wasn't her strength. She liked to kind of keep her arms around everything. They're saying, let's find out ways we can partner with one another. We did find that they did make another correction today. Again, they're new at this. They will not be using our softball complex to launch the rockets. They're actually using the McClellan parking lot that's behind the softball complex. You might know what I'm saying. That's where they're going to launch out of there. We agreed that we will come in and perform weed abatement in that little nook that's kind of between the back museum and the softball complex.
Yeah.
Just prior to, we've already done it once this year, but just prior to their event, we're going to go in there and we're going to disc it, and then it looks like we're likely going to hire like some temporary help to come in and outfit them with weed eaters, and just knock everything down back there. So it increases or decreases the chance of something might catch fire. But anyway, we had a really good meeting with them, and I came away with, they'd like to come and introduce themselves to the board sometime in September. I suggested September because it would be after the fireworks event.
Right.
That way if anything gets screwed up, we can chew them out. But no, they would in turn like to make an invitation to this board to come and meet their board. But no, he's not here tonight, but I feel confident that it's going to go well. One of the things we changed out there, they tried, I think they're, I don't want to say naive, I think it's just good intentions, but it just wasn't going to work. To keep the public out of the park, they wanted to put police officers, 2 or 3 police officers on the fringe of the park. And I said, well, we got a couple problems with that. One, you're going to already have hundreds of people in the park that have been there all day waiting for the fireworks getting set up for it. Second of all, technically, it's not your park, so you can't authorize to have law enforcement there. And I said, to be honest with you, here's what I'd rather have. I'd rather have you have a few guys come out the next morning and help our guys clean the park than to have, don't put the police out there, because I think there's nothing good that's going to come out of that. You know what, we will bypass the ordinance for that night and let people be in the park late, and in the morning we'll just come back and we'll clean up. And so he agreed to that, and everything else is still in place. And then what we agreed to do is at the end of August, early September, Scott will meet with them one more time, give a key so they have access to the back gate in case something does catch fire inside the complex.
Right.
They can get to it. I have to tell you, I got more out of a 1-hour meeting with them than I did 4 years with Roxanne. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, and they were actually advocating for we should do stuff together.
Okay.
But here's one tidbit. I don't know if you know this or not, but the flyer actually says that it's a private event at the hangar behind the museum. Did they say how many people, Scott?
They'll have 800 or 900 people.
800 or 900 people back there, and it's going to be basically white cloth and white glove, dinner service. It's $250 to $1,000 a ticket.
Okay.
That's their biggest fundraiser.
Right.
And I said, well, you do understand that just on the other side in that little green park over there, that's all the cheap seats.
Right.
Because nobody's paying for anything. But the reason I encourage them to help provide restrooms and clean up is that your event is going to draw that crowd.
Right.
And he had no problem with it. And I don't suspect anything that's going to change.
So is there anything we really need to approve now, or?
I think you do. I think you need to. I think what I would do is maybe we'll change the recommendation here, but I think it should be that we allow to change the ordinance to allow the public to use the park beyond dusk for the purpose of allowing the public to use the park for that event.
So moved.
Do we want to set a time? Like, do we want to say
10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
I got the feeling this thing doesn't go on very long, so I think, you know, I don't have a time at this point, but when I meet with them next, I'll send you back a time. I wouldn't necessarily put a time in there, because how are you going to enforce it?
Sure, but, well, I guess you're right. But there's a reason we have that to begin with, right? We don't want someone camping there overnight. So even if it's just midnight, you know.
Well, we'll still have our police force.
Right.
That's the night that they'll be patrolling. And so, you know, maybe you're right. I don't know if there really is anything for you to actually approve. I think administratively I can go ahead and adjust the ordinance
Right.
for that one night. So I'd say based on that, I don't think
I withdraw my motion.
So why are they not using the field for their fireworks now?
Well, I think what happened was they initially thought they didn't need it, then they thought they did need it, and then they found out later on from talking to other people that they'd never actually launched from there. They thought it was behind the softball complex. So I think it was just they didn't have good clarity of how it actually worked in the past, which was surprising because Tom's been a board member for 10 years, you think they might know. But
Well, I would assume they have some kind of a professional come in and do these.
there's actually, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming they would say where they need to do it from.
Well, you actually have, the firm that puts this on is actually out on the clock. There's a pyrotechnical
Okay,
firm.
so they're there, okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
manufacture them there.
Oh,
And
there's
part of their
still-
agreement when they took over the Aerospace Museum is that they get this for free.
Gotcha.
So it's free for them, they're able to, you know, get their donors to
Right.
bring in money, and the public is a side benefit for the public, because all you gotta do is show up. You know, the reality of it is people go in that other parking lot close to near the entrance to the softball complex, and maybe they do. They set up tables and chairs and sit there, you still get the same benefit out of it.
Well, now, we have in the county an ordinance on what days you can shoot off fireworks. Do they have to get an exemption?
Yeah, they have to get signed off by the county fire marshal too.
Fire, okay. Got it.
It is real nice. I was invited to the event last year and I told, or
Did you get a
rented.
$250 seat or $500?
No, I know someone who works for Flyers and she was extended some tickets.
So wait a minute, you should get a ticket as a benefit.
No, she's a long time friend.
How come she's blushing?
You know, I
get all
just
this?
want. Oh, it would, I mean, it is pretty, I mean, the best place
From
to
the
see
swings at
it.
Freedom Park?
Oh, that would be spectacular too, because you're out there on the blacktop, and there's the planes, and then there's the fireworks, and it was on probably about 10 to 12 minutes. It was a nice show.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I would think anywhere that you would have a clear shot. Yeah, because they shot up pretty high. So no, it would be worth it. So it didn't really go on, you know, late the event, because most of the people, they were leaving right after the fireworks. So I was home before 10. Yeah, so I don't think, we would have to worry about that. It's just a matter of, you know, the fireworks fall zone would be our property. That was what was more my concern, and I knew Dennis wasn't, hosting anything at that point in time, which I thought was unusual.
Probably what we're going to do is the day of the event, we're probably going to run the sprinklers on the softball complex quite a bit.
Yeah.
Get the ground nice and wet, so you help again minimize any issues.
But yeah, I would take the kids out to see this one. It's not like a couple minute thing. So, yeah, they were good. All right, so we're all good on that, on attending? Okay. Freedom Park Softball Complex repair update and lease operator selection process recommendations. So Larry, what would you like to share with us?
Sure. I'm not going to go through all the details of what's been done, but a lot of the fix-it type of repairs have been done. They're ongoing. Scott and his staff put together a list of things in which we basically put into 3 categories: health and safety issues, which, for instance, the roof on that building. We're going to have a roofing contractor come out and tell us whether it needs to be replaced or it can be repaired. There's the stairways that go up to the 2nd floor. A couple of them have steps, concrete steps, or there's a piece that's been chipped off. Instead of having to go out and replace the entire stairway, you actually can buy these aluminum caps that fit, right, that mount over the top, and they have that diamond plate kind of thing on it, so they're not slippery.
Yeah.
So we'll probably retrofit all the stairs and put this, so they don't like a mismatch. We'll do them all. We certainly look like, Scott and I and the staff met yesterday. We're going to meet frequently, talk just about that project. And what we realizing is we get a lot of the big things are probably going to have to be, the roof will probably have to be contracted out. But we believe in the next 2 months we can finish the kind of category 1 and 2 stuff off. I'm a little reluctant to do too much in the 3rd category. I think what I would rather do is hopefully if we get into a situation where we're negotiating with somebody or a company, that we can just tell them basically those are going to be their responsibility to take care of. Because they're not going to be something that has to do with the function of the facility or health and safety issues. But going forward, we've been talking for several months periodically with the board about, how do we want to replace the previous operator. I'm pretty certain that I think the best
route for the district is to issue an RFP. It's going to weed out the people that will eat up a lot of your time if you have to sit in your office and talk to them all day long and find out that they're really not capable of performing. And it's going to give us hopefully a quality list of people who we're going to feel comfortable with talking to. And so on the second page, I give you it's really a tentative, that this is something that may change a little bit. Just if we went with the RFP, when it would be completed, we would want to schedule a site visit, invite everybody out there, walk them through, so they all hear the same thing. You don't have to do it once. We'll have a submittal deadline not too long after that, and then we'll have the board review the applicants at the applications, and certainly if you want to sit down and meet with the vendors, we can do that too. But we think it's very possible, and the timing actually I think is very good, because we certainly missed out on the summer, but we budgeted to not get revenue this summer. Getting a vendor on, and possibly in October or November, gives them time to start scheduling tournaments and things for the following year. And it gives us time to finish up the projects. And if we're going to have some roof work done, this is the time to get them out there before we get first rain, and then you can never get anybody to come out. So my recommendation is one is to let you know that the repairs are going forward. The staff have done a lot of work out there. And at some point in time, I think at the August meeting, we might even do a pre-meeting and just have a meet out there so we can do a walkthrough and show everybody what's been done. And then my recommendation would be move forward with establishing an RFP process so we can hopefully get a good vendor.
All right, Alan.
Got a couple of questions. Okay, so an RFP, do you have any idea how many years you're going to ask this be for? Is it like 3 or 5? Have you thought about that yet?
Yeah, and actually I've been able to secure a number of RFPs that would be kind of pertinent to what we're doing out here. And there's several ways you can do it. You can make an RFP very specific.
That was my next question.
You can be very specific. We're going to do a 20-year lease where the district is expecting this amount of money. This is the type of work that you're going to do, that sort of thing. Or there's one that's a little bit more open-ended, which might be actually a better deal for us, and that is find the vendor that looks like the kind of person we want to have there and sit down and negotiate. Because there are things that, and I don't want, there's nobody here listening to us, but certain things I might want to consider, and that is when I talk about those category 3 things that, they're more, well, maybe what the district does is say that either we'll take say $10,000 less the first year in rent, so you can apply it towards buying new bleachers, or you can do some fix-it repair items, or paint the building if that's what you want, or we may say that we will give you $10,000 to apply towards these types of things. And let's talk about how long it is, just because, I think the key thing I read in a couple of these RFPs for these types of facilities is, again, I can't say it's going to be true here, but in many cases, the length of the term is going to be approximate to the amount of money they're willing to invest into the site. So if somebody gets a longer term lease, then they're going to tell you that, well, part of our deal, if you give it to us, is we'll invest $100,000 within the first 5 years to make improvements to lighting structure, kind of the big ticket items. So I saw both of them. I saw the merits of both, and maybe what we could present is kind of a hybrid. But there's not one size fits all. There's the ones that are very specific, they know what they want. But then some of those, when I did follow up with some of the agencies, they were so specific, they turned people off and people didn't know.
No, absolutely. But so I guess my question is, are we going to leave it open-ended for the time period too, and let them say we'll do this for 10 years or 5 years? Or
I think what we can do is we can kind of suggest.
Okay.
We can suggest to them that the district is looking for a long-term lease.
Okay.
A long-term lease, we could say anywhere between 5 and 20 years.
Okay.
That way, that'll help them think about, well, when I did the site visit and I see we're going to have to put money into this, well, we may come back to the district and say, well, we need that 15 years to get our payback on this.
No, which makes sense.
So that would be the approach I would suggest. And I found out too that from again talking to people, don't complicate the RFP. Don't, there's some of them that were 90 pages long. People won't read them.
No.
And then there were some of them that were 12 pages long. I don't know if 12 pages is too short. And, it's more content than pages. But, be very specific about the things that are important to the district, and the things that you are open-minded on, let you have an open mind about those things. I want to be able to, my goal would be able to present a facility to potential operators that is ready to use the minute you walk in the door.
Right.
That doesn't mean you don't want to change things, doesn't mean you might want to fix things, but the toilets flush, the lights work, all the light bulbs are in the sockets. You turn on the lights inside the building, they come on, the sprinkler system works. That's what I want to, so to say, hey, it's ready, it's what we call shovel ready, it's ready to go.
Okay. The only other suggestion I would have is, you said possibly, bring 2 or 3 in front of the board. We do have a facilities committee, and we can just,
Use that? Sure.
use those folks. Congratulations, you two.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And I don't know
You gotta
how many-
check that, don't you?
I've got a list of 4 or 5 individuals or companies,
Right.
2 in particular that want me to send them staff reports that we present to the board. They're interested in minutes to find out what you're having to say, which tells me they're very interested.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, I won't say names, but I did share a name with Scott, and he goes, oh, geez, not that guy, basically. And again, we haven't done any effort, we haven't reached out to anybody yet. And so I think that one of the difficult things is in which I kind of started already, is trying to identify who are the players that are. Who's somebody that's gonna be interested in something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the plan today, but, again,
No,
we'll
that's fine.
kind of modify it as we go. So, the recommendation is that if you decide to go with the
Direct us
RFP.
to do the RFP, direct you to do the RFP.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Is that timeline, is that, so I think that's pretty much going right on schedule, right?
Yeah, there's flexibility in there. I mean, if the roofer comes back and says, again, the roof doesn't have to be repaired to start the RFP process.
Right.
We would just have to tell them there'll be a new roof by the time you take over So I think, Pedro, is there wiggle room in it? Oh, yeah. Can we go a little couple weeks further out? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you send the RFP, then you can have the dates in there.
There'll be a schedule like this in there to say,
Right.
it'll tell them when's the date we're gonna be out there to do the walkthrough, when how long afterwards do you have to turn in your RFP back to the district, and, things such as when the board deals with it, and when the board sets up interviews is really not that relevant at this point.
All right, so.
I'll make a motion to go on staff's recommendation to direct them to prepare an RFP to locate a new proprietor for softball complex.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay, item 10D, renaming the district's community center. So, is there anything you wanted to highlight on that?
I think we've talked a little bit about it before, and while the board's taking no action, we have had some conversations about the possibility of an option for the board is to look at the former administrator, Kay Dayhill. Just to show you, just to tell you a little bit how this would work, whatever name, if you choose not to provide a renaming. When we start the landscape project in front of the community center, which is early fall, right, Scott? And we talked to Kevin Leamy from Furman Leamy Associates, and we told him the type of sign that's going to go in to Cherry Blossom Park, which is about 5.5 to 6 feet long, about this tall. There'll be backlighting into it. That would have we would install that in front of the community center, probably just to the left of the walkway. I think that's the area we looked at, because we need to avoid things like irrigation valves and things like that. And then that would be where the name, instead of changing the name on the building itself.
Yeah, but we're gonna pull the name off the building, I'm assuming, or.
Well, it just says community center. So I think that I would rather leave it alone so we don't fill holes and have to do a repaint. Let us take community center, because they can see that, but when they pull in the park line to get out, they're gonna see, especially at night, they're gonna see this big sign that's gonna be backlit, let Joe Schmo, that's not probably a nice thing to say, Mary Smith, community center. that would happen at the same time, and again, assuming we go in this direction, then I would be probably looking at something like a November, maybe December dedication ceremony.
So if I remember correctly, this is gonna be like I don't wanna say made out of concrete,
It's
but
precast concrete.
precast, right? And then, so there's gonna be like lights built into or just separate lights?
Probably have, well, we haven't decided yet, but normally what happens, you have lights that are in front of the signs that
Right.
shoot against the sign, it's called backlighting.
Right.
So it really highlights the name, and then we probably have, letters,
Right, but it's not actually part of, built into,
it would be in front and back.
Yeah, just the little things that I can buy at Home Depot and.
A little bit more sophisticated than those. Yeah, instead of doing things, we would, hardwire it, so
Yeah.
it would, it would go on a timer and go automatically.
All right.
So, I thought we were gonna talk with Kate first.
Oh, you wouldn't want to do that, but what happens if
What if she says no?
yeah, or what happens if she says yes and you say no?
I just thought we just had that,
Well, I think what we talked about was there was some discussion about the name that we.
What name are we gonna call it? Are we gonna call it Cahill Center or
Cahill or
Oh,
Cahill.
okay.
That was.
Which really isn't, that's probably not pertinent to who you want to name it after at this
Right.
point. But I actually went online and found, you can Google it, and I probably saw about 30 pages of different types of signs with different types of names. Most of them seem to put the full name on it.
Yeah.
So she seemed to go by, and a lot of the retirement documents and the awards and recognition that you receive seem to be KFD on everything. But they would probably need a lead of about probably 4 to 6 weeks
Right.
to order the sign. And
Yeah, if we were gonna just do it on the, like where it is on the top of the building, I'd say do Dayhill. And that, because I was the one that said just do Dayhill, right? If we're gonna have, a more sign like that, I can see doing the full name.
And it's going to be a very nice sign, and all that brush that's out there right now, it's all going to be gone. It's going to be what xeriscaping is, using boulders and kind of river rock, and it's going to be, save a little bit of water because it's going to be a low flow. It's going to be probably just bubblers and that sort of thing. But it's going to be nice, professionally designed, and we're taking it all the way out. We're also doing the front of the building too,
Right.
the same type of brushes around there. But if you're standing in front of the community center, you go to your left, you know where the dumpsters are?
Yeah.
We're going on the other side of the sidewalk and doing all that landscaping as well, so it ties in everything in front of it.
Okay.
The lawn that's in between by the flagpole and stuff, we're leaving that as is. If for some reason down the road we wanted to tear that out and say, put new sod or something in it, our staff can do that themselves.
Okay.
And on the other side of that, next to the parking lot, that'll all be new landscape material.
Okay, so I want to ask for one more thing before we make a motion on this. Can we get some kind of a brass plate made for inside the lobby telling who she was, what she did, and Kate Dale was.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know those get a little pricey sometimes, but I think a cast,
You're probably talking $300 or $400, which I don't think is a terrible amount of money. And I think because some days all of us will be gone.
Right.
People will look and say,
And
who's Kate Dale?
people, exactly,
It'd be nice to tie that in.
Right.
In fact, probably what you could do is as you either put it inside the building or as you,
Right.
right on the walls as you just before.
Yeah, either way, I was just, Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to do staff's recommendations and include the plaque with a little history of
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
So starts the process of reaching out to her?
So what I was-
obviously if she says, no, we're not gonna do this.
She's gonna do it.
I have to do it.
it. So if she says no, you call me and I'll call her.
Well, and what I was gonna suggest is, we can draft a letter for Diane's signature that would be sent to Kate, so she sees it's coming from the board.
Well, she's gonna think it's forged because she's gonna see board chair, it's not me.
This is a KF day, true?
Yeah. And so, and probably what we'll do is we'll probably bring you, prior to ordering the sign,
a couple different, you know, samples of what, whether you want it straight or you know, half moon tide, and we'll show you examples of what it could look like. That probably will come to you in August. Yeah, sooner the better, so we can move forward. I'd like to have the sign ordered and actually here before we start, so we don't
Before we
wait
tell
on.
her.
What's that?
Before we tell her.
Yeah, so if you're okay, I will, in the next couple of weeks, I'll put a letter together before the word gets out. She hears from somebody at the grocery store.
I think we should have Terry just show up at her doorstep.
Big.
See, there you go. I told you,
We
better.
did have something when, I found what the 6th for the Rotary luncheon.
Is she part of Rotary?
No, I can sign the letter.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, okay, we had a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of renaming the community center after KF Dayhill? Can I get a vote?
Yay.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, 10E, special board meetings, so,
The dates are wrong, I'm sure. Alan probably picked that up real quick.
Yeah.
There is no August 9th board meeting, it's actually, I mean, it's not, no 12, it's your meeting in August, your regular meeting was August 9th. So the 16th is still good, but the 12th was really the 9th.
do we need any action on that?
Well, you can call a special board meeting at any time you want to call a special board meeting, but I think if you want to go ahead and approve it now, then that just helps us move forward with it.
I'll make a motion to accept the staff recommendation that the board of directors schedule a special board meeting on August 16, 2018 at 6:30 PM and cancel the one on August 9th.
Can I make a recommendation? We
No,
want
I
to
thought-
cancel the one on the
I was
9th?
gonna say, I thought we were canceling that one.
No,
I don't cancel the one on the 9th.
Well, I would say, I think we talked about a couple things. One, keeping it, but if there was nothing that was of utmost
Right.
importance time-wise, we could just carry everything over into the special
Right.
meeting. And I would let you know probably around the first part of August.
Right. I just get concerned because if anything other than something very routine comes up to the August 9th, that's when people know we meet.
Well, technically, the right way to do it would be to cancel it right there at your timeline of when you know, 3 or 4 days or 72 hours prior to your meeting.
Right.
If there's nothing on there, I will keep you abreast and say, hey, look, we either got this coming, so we're gonna
Right.
get the meeting. I mean, I'm not gonna know at the last second
No,
that
you're-
something pops up. But if around the 7th, 8th of August, there's nothing pressing, I'll contact Diane and just say, if nothing here, we can carry everything over to the special meeting, that way you don't have to meet once, not twice.
Right. I just feel a little concerned because again, if people know this is when we meet, and if we cancel and something actually would have been on the board agenda that we moved a week later, you could get a little heck for that.
Well, again, the other route is that you could keep the meeting on the.
Yeah, I mean, I think we gotta just wait and see.
You're gonna have, you guys are gonna meet back to back weeks.
The week after.
So,
I'll just that, then I will make a motion to accept the recommendation to set up the special board meeting for August 16th at 6:30.
okay, do I have a second? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, item 11, payment of the bills. So does anyone have any questions of staff on the July moving report?
Oh, what was Rapid River for Carl?
It was, excuse me, 4-inch pipe was leaking,
Oh, that was that, okay.
and the material, it was a very old pipe. Surprised materials that we really didn't want our guys handling.
Okay.
Plus, the nature of the job, the water had been off for a couple days prior already, so we wanted to get it done as quickly as possible.
That's what the weekend too,
They were all, yeah. So they came in on a Friday, and they were done by Saturday afternoon. We did a system check Sunday morning and turned the irrigation back. So
Perfect, okay. I mean, I knew about the pipe, I just didn't tie the two together.
Yeah, that was the one.
motion to ratify payment of the bills.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. All right, the next regular
Oh,
meeting.
I'm sorry, Ken's here, so if you want
Oh.
to, you were approved, but if maybe the board might want to hear a little bit about your upcoming event.
If you would like to do.
All right, so my name is Kim Brown. I'm the Executive Director of Love Action IoT. We are hosting National Night Out 2018. We have hosted for several years. For the past 2 years, it has been at Freedom Park. I want to say thank you very much to the North Highlands Recreation Park District for allowing us to host such a great event there. It has had great success. The past 2 years, we've had probably about 500 residents come out and support the event. We've had city officials come out and represent. We've had the police department come out, and it's just been a great success. And I want to thank you again for approving it today. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you.
No, just thanks for putting it together.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do want to especially thank Larry and Mark for working.
Thank you for coming out tonight. All right. The next regular meeting of the Board of Directors will be on August 9, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. in the North Highlands Recreation Center, 6040 Watt Avenue, North Highlands. This meeting is adjourned.